Greetings to everyone out there in YouTube land. I'm Ahmed Hassanin, and I just want to give a shout out to Coach Dan. Thank you for all the support you show the team and the players. Everyone hit the like, subscription button, and yell woo in the comments. Thank you, and go Lions.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live, Tuesday morning show edition, and guess what? The Detroit Lions are, at least momentarily, for the rest of the season, until proven otherwise, kings of the North once again. Yes, if you didn't catch the results of last night's Monday Night Football game, hey, I got some news for you. Philadelphia Eagles went into Green Bay and gave the Packers a bit of a loss there. So, hey, once again, the Lions are back on top place. We'll get into that a little bit more. As you can probably tell from today's thumbnail, though, we got a little bit of a question to ask. Today's show may be a little bit more of a debate on this topic. Just how good can the Detroit Lions be? And how many players within this team really are on that next level up? That level that, hey, you can say if you go back 10, 20, 30 years ago, or 10, 20 years, 30 years from now, they're amongst the best ever at their positions. What does this mean for the team? Well, I got a question for everybody to answer. When you look at this team as a totality, how good can it still become? Not just this year, next year. Can it become a dynasty, in short? Are we setting up the next San Francisco 49ers versus Dallas Cowboys in the 90s to battle to see who's going to be the team of the decade? And I think there's some evidence that perhaps this weekend's game against the Philadelphia Eagles, this really could be the dynasty matchup setup that we all wanted last year, but might go the next 3, 4, 5 years throughout the rest of this particular decade. I think these two teams might be in the consistent battling components for control of the NFC overall for the next several years. We're going to analyze this, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. How many generational players are there on this team? And have the Detroit Lions entered the conversation to be consistently one of the NFC's prominent teams? Let's see what you guys have to say. Before we get into that, before we get into the 5 headlines now, you probably already know by now. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 32 subs away from hitting 15,600. If you can help out with that, that would be great. Also, if you got a free second of time, it doesn't cost a dime. Hit the thumbs up button, the like button, hit all the buttons. Well, as we try to get every episode of the show between 2, 3, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last and never least, if you are perhaps considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, give me a call, shoot me a text. You see the number on your screen, 269-998-2384. I'll use over 30 years in the industry to save you hassle, issues, money. Make sure you get a better price for anything you're selling. All the whole shebang-a-bang. Reach on out to me, have that conversation, see what we can do for you. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, let's get the show rocking, rolling, and going, and kicking off with 5 headlines now. All right, we're going to speed through the 5 headlines because we got a lot of graphics, pop-ups. We got a lot of stuff today. And I'm not 100% sure if Anthony from Roar Lions UK will be able to join us halfway through the show, but I haven't heard from him one way or the other. NFL playoff picture, Detroit Lions retake NFC North lead, SB Nation story by Jeremy Risman. I think we're all pretty happy about that one as we see the NFC North. The Lions are tied with the Bears, but have the tiebreaker because they smashed the Bears in that earlier season matchup. Packers gave up a bunch of first-round picks to be third place, at least as of today, And man, oh man, they're just barely ahead of the Vikings. This further corroborates the fact that the NFC North really is, one of the best divisions in all of football. There's just no bad teams here. Every time one of these teams plays each other, we all get it. It is a shootout, it is a gut punch, it is a battle just to see who can survive. And we're going to be paying attention to this throughout the rest of the season because let's face it, we're in the home stretch of games. And you know what? When you look over the division leaders, you got the Eagles at 7-2, Seahawks 7-2, Lions 6-3, and Buccaneers 6-3. Lions also have the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers. This is why this weekend's game has also got another layer to it. Lions and Eagles. Lions win this one, then they have the tiebreaker over the Eagles. They can't control anything to do with the Seahawks because they don't play them. Wild card teams, you already see it on the screen. Rams, Bears, Packers, 49ers, Panthers, Vikings, Cowboys. Wouldn't that be something if everybody from the NFC North made the playoffs? But I don't know if I've ever seen that happen with a complete division making it. All right. Next 5 headlines now. Lions are very likely to be awarded a 4th-round compensatory pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Here's how. A to Z Sports, started by Mike Payton. I know Anthony reached out to me and sent me this somewhere around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning as well, but it was on the docket for today. I'm going to just kind of summarize this one. If DJ Reader plays less snaps in a nutshell than Carlton Davis, you know what? The Lions are going to get a 4th-round pick. So we're going to pay attention to this. Whether or not this is really on the Lions' mind or not, I don't know. But there is a possibility if DJ Reed gets less go time than what we saw out of Carlton Davis this season, Lions could be basically awarded another 4th-round pick. Hey, we all get it. Brad Holmes, this organization loves their draft picks. They don't want to trade them away if they don't have to. But it is a small possibility. I think the Lions are probably more worried about getting Reed back on the field to see if they can use him to help win games, et cetera, and then get a higher seed, win the division, playoffs, obviously. But this is something in the back of all of our minds now at this point. Check out the story if you want a little bit more information. Again, the 5 headlines now today. Try to power through a little bit quicker. All right, why there's one Lions player that will benefit the most from Dan Campbell calling offensive plays for Detroit. This is from CBS Sports, a story by Jordan Dean. I would agree with this. I think we saw some level of this during the Commanders game. If you can't guess who the person is, I'll tell you. Basically, per this story, I think CBS Sports is right. I think Jameson Williams is probably going to now be one of the bigger beneficiaries for it. We get it. He's going to run a more diversified route tree. He's going to get asked to do more things offensively than just go that way really fast. And because of that, you're probably going to see his numbers skyrocket from here on out. I know some of you guys do fantasy football. I don't. But if you have an opportunity now, add him because somebody else wanted to get rid of him. Might be a time to do that. Jameson Williams, I think there's no debate. If he's not the fastest guy in the NFL, he's amongst the creme a la creme as far as speedsters out there. We've also heard in the last year or so that his overall wide receiver skills have grown exponentially. And I agree with that. When you watch him coming out of college, getting ready for the NFL draft, and even to be fair, his rookie, or I guess you could say with the Lions when he was coming back from that ACL injury, he was just very limited in his skill sets. You could see, in my opinion, both colleges he played for just didn't really ask him to do much other than go that way fast. And that, to me, that's a failure of coaching. It's a failure of development. It's a failure to work with somebody. But now, go into his second year in the NFL. You start seeing his foot placement. You start seeing the use of his elbows to get in and out of breaks. While it's minuscule returns on investment at that point, it's at least the starts of a blooming player. And when you watch him now, he's actually pretty polished. I won't say his footwork and his body structure is always amongst the best in the NFL for a wide receiver, but it's clearly, it's exploded from where it was when we drafted him. I do think he's going to have a breakout second half of the season, and I do think he's going to become a massive threat. And yes, I agree with CBS Sports. I think he's probably going to be the biggest winner from Dan Campbell, assuming the play calling. All right, this next one you guys probably already seen, but in case you missed it yesterday, Lions re-signed rookie defensive end Ahmed Hassanin to the practice squad, story by Jeff Risdon, Lions Wire. Scooby doing this a little bit more once I went off air with Hutch Jr. after it. Lions also are going to be able to keep him and really, really, pull a fast one over the NFL because on the practice squad, they can use the international rule with them. So they basically have a fifth protected player for the practice squad, somebody that can't be poached. He doesn't count over the cap as far as they basically get 17 players on the practice squad. The Lions, Brad Holmes, always looking for advantages. It does appear they found an advantage to get around the IR rule by waiving them, bringing them back, and now being able to have a 17th player on the practice squad because of the international rule. All right, last of the 5 headlines now. Lions running game searching for consistency amidst woes on offense. Sideline report, Bo Underwood penned this one. Last week, we saw some real good out of the Lions running game. The week before, against the Vikings, a whole lot of bad. You want to talk about why the Lions lost the Vikings? Special teams, in my opinion, number 1. Number 2, there was no running threat whatsoever. You can't run play action pass if there's zero threat of the run. Whether that was the final axe to fall on John Morton is why MCDC assumed things. Lions did a whole lot of things to give that game away, in my opinion. The defense, I'm not going to throw any shade at. I think they were put in repeatedly bad situations, but probably the number one thing as far as a lack of protection for Goff or effectiveness overall in the passing game came down to the fact that there was zero running game against the Minnesota Vikings. Give some credit to the Vikings. I also give some shade towards the Lions' structure on the offensive line, some of their blocking assignments. If Bo Underwood, and I think everybody watching the shows agrees, if the Lions come out this upcoming Sunday night and they establish even a mediocre running attack against the Philadelphia Eagles, then you know what? The passing attack for Jared Goff opens up. All the tools, all the weapons we have open up and become a bigger threat. And you know what? That's good news for all involved. Get the running game going, and the offense will follow. All right, real quick, before we get into the main topic of the day, I do want to throw a few things at you guys. I know some of you guys don't really get into Pro Football Focus, but hey, just for fun, I guess let's throw some stuff out there. Top 5 offense, and I want to thank my brother Tim for clipping these and sending them over to me. Let's just walk through them real quick. Gibbs had over an elite score. This is one of the best scores I've ever seen from Pro Football Focus. You can get slightly higher from here, but I think everybody watching gets Gibbs is in the conversation for best player in the NFL, maybe best running back, best everything out there. Is a 93.7. Jared Goff also had an elite day. Anything, by the way, over 90 is considered elite. 90.3. Penei Sewell, no surprise there. Real good performance there, and thankfully he's A-OK. 83.3. How about Khalif Raymond? Left for dead. I've said it all week long. If you didn't know he was even on the team prior to last week, you probably weren't the only one. And you can see it that, yes, he had a real good 82.3. Then Jameson Williams had an 82. Sorry that it's a little cut off at the bottom there, but that's Jameson Williams' best score of the season as well. And Khalif Raymond, man, it's not just his best score. It's his best score by a large amount because, you know what? They actually used him. All right, bottom 5 offense, Brock Wright. Hey, I don't understand some of these scores, but, I'm going to get a credit's due. Pro Football Focus, hey, they have their own scoring system. It's different than mine. But as you can see, Brock Wright, 55.8. Dave Montgomery, 56.3. Colin, 63.8. Michael Neese, just signed, by the way, at 64.9. And Isaac Tesla at 65.1. Let's move over to the defense. We'll start with the bottom guys. Avonte Maddox, hey, maybe he's still a little working his way back with the hamstring. But anyways, he barely showed up at a 38.1. Aleem McNeil. This is going to be the big topic of debate when you talk about Pro Football Focus. 45.4. Not a good showing, at least according to them. But also pay attention to the Lions' defensive line as a totality. Because next up is DJ Reader. 46.9. Alaquin Muhammad or Mo. 47.1. And then Tyleek the Freak Williams. 52.1. Not a great day from those guys according to Pro Football Focus. Let's see, bottom 5. Maybe I didn't put in the defense. Oh, my gosh. My bad. No, I guess I don't have them up here. Well, hold on. Let me pull them up. Give me 1 second if you please. May just have to read these ones off to you. Apparently, I did not clip them. So apologies for this. But let me get this one off the screen, and I'll just read you, I guess, the top 5 defense. That's right, Roy Lopez, not a surprise there. He played nearly elite at 89.6. Terrion Arnold, we've been talking about how well he's been doing, and you know what? This just kind of further corroborates that. He had basically an elite grade at 89.2. Let me see if I can real quickly bring this up on the screen for you guys. And again, apologies for it. And 1 second, let me type in the keywords. And all right, let me remove this one. Apparently, I'm at my limit. So sorry about this, guys. Thought I had it all loaded up for you. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. So anyways, Terrion Arnold, basically an elite grade at 89.2. Alex Anzalone, 74.4. Arthur Mollett, 70.8. And Jack Campbell. And I was surprised by this one at under a 70 because, man, when I watched that game, and again, everybody's got their own metrics for grading, but I thought Jack Campbell was explosive. I thought he looked elite to me in that game, especially the goal line stance. But again, to each their own. All right, all that done, set out of the way. Let's get over to the main topic today, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. I think, hey, we've got some guys that are starting to enter that conversation. Also, are the Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions setting up to basically be the team of the decade or teams of the decade, constantly battling for supremacy in the NFC? Let's get into it. All right, let's start off by asking this question. When you look at the Lions, how many guys do you say, hey, they're amongst the best in the NFL and maybe the best ever? Well, let's break it down and start with this. Pay dirt for you guys. These are the most touchdowns prior to age 24 in NFL history. Obviously, you see Barry Sanders, leading the list. Randy Moss, no surprise, he's up there. Emmitt Smith, you expect that. Jim Brown, how about that? And then look at Gibbs right there. Gibbs, he gets to play almost another full year before he turns 24, and he's already at 41. Does anybody really think the rest of this year he's not going to put up another 5, 10, touchdowns? If he does, he will be the most all-time on this list. Also, let this sink in. Think about the fact his rookie year and second year, he split carries at best, we could say. His rookie year was really kind of limited. Last year was basically 50-50. I mean, you guys get it. Think about what he's achieved with limited snap counts. Where would you put him in the NFL pantheon as far as just, players at his position, maybe even just best players in the NFL? Let this sink in for you. Let's go on a little bit more with this. Most consecutive wins following a loss. Detroit Lions 13. So in the last 3-4 seasons, etc., if you lost a game in Detroit, you know what? You're almost guaranteed to win the following game. The only team that's done it slightly better, obviously you can see it on the screen, are the Baltimore Ravens, and that's also 2009 through 12. And they were dominant in those years. Moving on from that, most career games with 300 plus passing yards plus 3 touchdowns passing and no interceptions. Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. Hey, it's going to be the timeless debate. Who won this trade? Who's the better quarterback for Detroit? All I know is, Goff has not played nearly as long for Detroit as Matthew Stafford, and he's already duplicated Matty Stafford's performances here. One last one I got for you on the pop-up screen. 150-plus yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception in a game. You know what? Not many do it better as far as the Detroit Lions history. Gibbs is already leading the way. And then obviously you can see Mel Farr, Barry Sanders, Javid Best, and Kevin Smith all were out there with 1, but nobody apparently is going to match Gibbs anytime soon in that department. So when I talk about the 80s, you talk about the San Francisco 49ers being the team of the decade. And yes, there were some other good teams during that time. Cincinnati Bengals, for those who don't know, were actually pretty dang good during that time frame. We talk about the 70s. It's impossible not to talk about the Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go to the 60s, hey, we all get it. Green Bay, it did have some battles with other teams out there for supremacy. The 1950s, that was the Detroit Lions and Cleveland Browns through and through. And now you get to the 90s, and we've already mentioned it once on the show. That was clearly the year of the 49ers, or the decade of the 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys. And that brings into debate what made those teams great. Is it the fact that they basically never overlooked anybody? Every game was an opportunity to win and prove yourself. Now you start looking at the generational talent on those teams, even the coaching staff. You got to go with the coaches too and say, hey, they play a role in things. And I think we'd all agree about that after watching the change in the offense from John Morton to Dan Campbell. So now I'm asking you, the viewers, whether you're watching this live or later on the day, analyze the Detroit Lions. Could they potentially be a team of the decade for the next, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, whatever metric you want to use? Jared Goff, he's probably got 5 to 6 years left, assuming he wants to play that long, where he can play at a high level. You look at his skill set. Does he really need to outrun anybody? It's not a part of his game. I know a bunch of you guys complain about that, but it's not a part of his game. As I put in the thumbnail, we know the king of quarterbacks in NFL history is a guy who can't run. I don't know. Jared Goff might be able to outrun him in Tom Brady. What made Tom Brady great? It's not his arm strength. It's not his athleticism. It was just his desire to always be first place. Can Jared Goff replicate even a portion of that? I'll let you debate. How about when throwing out some other greats in that position? If you looked at a Montana, was Montana overly athletic? He was somewhat athletic, but I think Jared Goff might not have been his type of athleticism, but you see some similarities there. When you look at the running back position, I put Emmitt Smith in there. No, I didn't put Barry Sanders in there because Barry, unfortunately, didn't win a Super Bowl. But when you look at some of the all-time great running backs, can we say Gibbs has the potential to be in there? I think based on some of this evidence, the answer might be yes. And not many people would have guessed when the front offices traded away the number 6 pick to go ahead, move back to number 12, and grab Gibbs and Laporta, Jack Campbell, and everybody else from that draft. Did they know something about Gibbs at that point? They must have. Their scouting department appears to have been spot on, and whether you want to give credit to Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, I'll leave that to your devices. But he does appear to be a generational talent. Now, let's look at the offense as far as the skill positions, and I'll even throw the offensive line in there too. Let's look at the receivers. St. Brown, is he a Jerry Rice type? He's probably, I don't think anybody's going to consider him a Randy Moss type, but you get the debate. He is somebody that you have to always account for. Every defense, when they step on the field, obviously they got to say, hey, where's Gibbs at all times? But what about St. Brown? Amon-Ra's no joke. He does get open against just about any type of coverage you can throw out there. So can he help compel the Lions offense to, for the next, several years, the rest of this decade, to be one of the best ones out there and a constant threat? If what we've seen on a Jameson Williams last week, then for those who can remember this name, how about Taylor? I forget his. Jerry Rice's running mate at wide receiver. Taylor, I can't remember his first name anyways right now, but he's a sound number 2. If you're going to shadow a lot of people towards Gibbs or St. Brown, you're going to leave him in a lot of good, favorable defensive setups for him to get open against. And I think if you look at, Alan Harper, some of the other great number 2s in history, where you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys or whoever else, I think, Jameson Williams can be in that mix. Look at the offensive line. I think we all agree. Penei Sewell, he may end up, when it's all said and done, he might end up being considered one of the greatest offensive linemen ever. Not just, hey, for this generation, but if you go back 100 years ago or 100 years from now, he's just that rare. Look at the defensive side of the ball. We've already kind of mentioned, Jack Campbell. I think he's ascending into that category. How about Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph? How about, Aiden Hutchinson? Whoever you want to throw out there, I think there's some room for debate that this Detroit Lions team, which is the main topic of the day, could end up being in the running within the NFC for team of the decade, let alone if they can make it to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl or two, could they end up becoming a dynasty? We all know a couple seasons ago they were this close to making the Super Bowl. You know what? Last year, injuries, whatever you want to blame, Ben Johnson throwing the game, I don't know. I'll let you debate that. But the fact is, the Lions were the number 1 team in the NFC. This year, can they end up being the number 1 team in the NFC? It's possible. We know that some things got to go their way. We know they got to win some tough games. With that being said, if they achieve anywhere near the number 1 or 2 seed the rest of the way, then you know what? You're starting to see a tendency, a trend that the Lions are consistently towards the top of the NFC. Now, if they can make it to a Super Bowl, let alone win 1 or 2 or whatever they can do in the next 10 years, do they now become a dynasty? It's probably a little overreactive to say they will be a dynasty, but I think the conversation's there to be had. I don't always want to put out the same content that everybody else puts out on YouTube, because what fun is that? We could all just dive in today, Tuesday, the day after the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, and talk about that. But you're going to get that show from 50 other people today. I wanted to try to come up with something a little bit different for the Duke Crew and see what your guys' thoughts are. Because the more I look around the Detroit Lions, and especially with Frazier coming back, it does appear Christian Mahogany will be back late December. I'm going to say Christmas Day. Wouldn't that be a present for us? Plus, Med Hassanin, is he really going to give us a lot as a rookie year since he's missed over half of it? Probably not, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. And then Kirby Joseph will be back. We get Reed's going to be back. This Detroit Lions team, I said it in the preseason. I think most of you guys would agree. It appears it could be the deepest any of us have ever seen. And that depth has been on display with all the injuries thus far in the year. All right, Duke Crew, I've made the case for you to debate. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Let me head over to that screen and see what you guys have to say. Hopefully everybody's having a good morning and enjoying being back on top of the NFC North. All right, Michael D kicking us off with greetings and salutations. Coach Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point, one pride, woo, and good to see you. JDC, morning all. David, morning all. What's going on today? Question mark, not sure I understand the title, and now you know. And knowing is half the battle. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. 10-7, Eagles beat Packers. Are we really concerned? Question mark. Woo! Yeah, I'm going to give the Packers some flowers. I think that defense is legit, especially if they can get you into an obvious passing down. Micah Parsons, everybody can debate whether he was worth the value. I think Jerry could end up being proven that he made the right move, because I think the Dallas really strengthened their run defense. You're not going to replace anybody like Micah Parsons anytime soon, although they've gotten a couple guys to try to at least somewhat deflate it. Packers, though, they've got to get something going offensively, and I've had my thoughts on Jordan Love. I thought this was kind of a make or break year for him so far. I guess let me know your thoughts. Has Jordan Love made it to that type of level with the Packers, or is he starting to break his future there? I know where I'm leaning. I don't want to influence your thoughts. So, James, greetings and salutations. Dana Duku, same to you. Jess, both the Eagles and Packers offenses didn't look good last night. Was worried the Packers would win that game. They had every opportunity to win it. But obviously, you lost by 3. You had every opportunity. Give the Philadelphia Eagles also some credit. That defense is pretty nice. Johnny L., good morning, folks. Same to you. Big Eddie, Packers losing Kraft hurt them a lot, I think. Eagles really struggled to get anyone open. I think both teams did. Now, we're going to find out next week, is that a byproduct of both teams' defenses going against each other, or maybe there's some weaknesses in both teams' respective offenses? James, what's the deal? John Morton possibly moving on after the season? We'll have to see what he elects to do. If I'm guessing here, Dan Campbell's not going to show him the door. He's not going to kick him out. He's going to say to John Morton, this is your role with the team going forward. Do you want to be here or not? And that's ultimately going to be probably John Morton's case. It won't be unusual. I mean, you look at all the offensive head coaches in the NFL. They all have offensive coordinators. Now, do those OCs call the plays? No. Sean McVay ain't letting nobody call them. Ben Johnson ain't letting nobody call it. And you can go through a laundry list of guys that are the same way. What they have their OCs do, that's probably going to change from team to team. All right, Trey, what's going to be a question mark? Back to first place in the North for us. Correct with that. That Turkey Day game will be massive. Man, you ain't wrong. I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again before that. It'll be the biggest Turkey Day game or Thanksgiving Day game in the history of the NFL. Johnny L., as I said before, the only other team that I'm worried about is the Rams, as we should be. The Rams are legit. They're solid on both sides of the ball and their special teams, and the fact that we play them in L.A. Lionel, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew Worldwide! Exclamation point. The whole Lions team is forming up for to be the GOAT in Detroit history. Plenty of Hall of Fame potential for sure. Lightning and Thundercats, ho! With some exclamation points. I think, yeah. Let me know, Duke Crew. Throw it in the comments section. In your opinion, how many Hall of Famers currently are on the Detroit Lions? If you had a guess, throw that number at me. Maybe if you even want to, type it in there, throw out there who, in your opinion, could be a Hall of Famer. James, if I'm understanding correctly, there's a possibility that the now fired head coach from the New York Giants could be the next OC in 2026. It's possible, sure. Grable will have some, people coming after him. The only thing that killed him, in my opinion, is the fact that the Giants had 4 10-point leads in the fourth quarter and lost it this year. That's a damning statement against any organization or coach. We all know the huge meltdown against Denver where you blew whatever it was, a 30-point lead and found a way to lose. Last week against the Chicago Bears, I get it, as Lions fans, we all wanted to win. But think about what you got to do from a clock standpoint consistently to melt down and waste leads like that. And yet they did 4 times. That's going to get a lot of people fired. JDC, I ain't scared, go Lions with an exclamation point. James, good morning, Duke Crew. And good morning, JDC, all the above. Sorry, I was checking real quick to see if Anthony chimed in. I've got to scroll down the screen since I got so many pop-ups today. Good morning, Johnny L. Trim Reaper. Good morning, Coach Dan and the world-renowned Duke Crew. Exclamation point, let's go Lions. Woo! And good to see you. JDC, morning at you, James. Miles Marker, greetings and salutations, Coach and crew. Packers and Eagles were hilarious. James, today will be short for me. Have to go back to the hospital for a procedure. Hopefully it all goes well, and good luck at the procedure. Have a great day, my friend. Look at you. Woo! I missed the breaking news yesterday. Ahmed Hassani is back. He might be a rookie, but that man has enough grit to fill 4 field. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they feel he gets up to speed, and does he ascend at some point from the practice squad to the 53. I have to wait and see. JDC, there are more variables when playing in the great outdoors. There are indeed. And last night, I know it wasn't overly cold, but it was like 30 degrees. It may have played a factor for sure. Johnny L, great morning to you. James L, JDC, Lambeau Field, home of the Lamers. Yes, indeed. Miles Marker. Oh, yeah. Exclamation point. Hookadoo. Silver Server, James Allen, be good. Jamie Allen, be good. How about that? Johnny L, the Lions, new theme song. Here I am, rocking like a hurricane. Hey, I do remember that song. Hookadoo, good morning, Duke Crew, Miles Marker, Johnny L, James Allen, the grittiest assembles one pride. I like that. James, I was telling everybody that the Green Bay Packers are soft, and they have a softer schedule than most NFL teams. Yeah, I mean, they weren't first place last year, so there is going to be a change in the schedule, just like the Bears. The Bears end up, let's just say, a much higher standing in the NFC North than last year. Then the following season, we all know it, their schedule will change too. Silver Sir, I see Madley. Happy to see Ahmed back. I think we're all on that same page. Wayne, first place looks good on us. Let's keep it. Jess, greetings and salutations, Duke Crew. Time to keep the top now that we've returned to it. Green Bay traded 2 first-rounders just to be third place. We'll see if they end up there, but man, just imagine that they finish 4th place and they made the trade. Is what it is. Look at you, Silver Server in the house. Great morning to you all. JDC, Johnny L, great song, but Hoop Stink without a fight gets me fired up. There you go. James, Silver Server, thank you, brother. Carrie, well, what do you do? What do you know? Now here comes all the fair weather fire this one or that one fans. No, there will be the best thing since the invention of popcorn. Hey, I'll take that. Who doesn't like popcorn other than me? Dell, good morning. It's great to be back in first place. This week is huge. Yes, it is. Go Lions with an exclamation point. Johnny O, JDC, absolutely 100% awesome. Wayne, Green Bay could easily have lost at least 3 more games. Pittsburgh, Arizona, and Dallas. That would be 2-7 and 3-6. Yeah, they've had some close games for sure. Unfortunately for us, they found a way to get some of those wins. 5 parents ready. Morning, Dan and Duke Crew. Sorry, I missed you yesterday. Let's go, Lions. Exclamation point. Good to see you back, my friend. And the dogs are welcoming you back. James Hill. All right, Dan. And my mighty grit brothers and sisters, I have to go. I'll catch you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Peace. Hey, have a great day at the hospital. Hopefully the procedure goes well. Okay, Johnny LACDC, back in black. When they were black uniforms, that song rings in my head. Okay, Server. And good morning to the coach and all Lions fans. Got to go now. MCDC not relinquishing the play calling back to Morton. That is a done deal. Don't know why reporters keep asking him when it's obvious. Yeah, I get it. And if you're on the press conference yesterday, I threw some questions out there. Obviously, nobody read them, and I wasn't anticipating they would. I think a lot of the reporters, it seems like they play it safe with some of the questions they do ask. And the problem I don't like is they kind of repeat it. You asking a question, I kind of ask the same question, just worded a little differently. Jessica, good morning, all. Same to you. Johnny L., I completely agree with you on that. Hookadoo. Silver, Hookadoo is smiling strong at footballs. Brent, agreed, Gary. Eagles game is the real Lumerous test. Yes, it is. Broski Bear, how confident are you in Dan Campbell calling plays the rest of the season? Question mark. Will it take away from his other head coaching duties? No, it won't. Not in game. All that stuff's been handled by the time you've gotten there. My opinion, it's why if you're a head coach that favors offense or defense, you're probably calling those plays on the respective side of the ball. MCDC, for the most part in his time with Detroit, has been really the asterisk in that he didn't do it. We all know when he, I don't want to say fired Anthony Lynn, but he reassigned Anthony Lynn for the stretch of like 5 or 6 games. He did call the offensive plays, kind of allowing Ben Johnson to learn what he wanted. Hey, here's my norms. Here's what I expect. Can he handle this for me? And then he handed off the baton. Wayne, we will see how good Detroit is. Win Sunday night, and I'll say the loss to the Packers was a fluke. Win Sunday, and our path becomes much smoother to another NFC North crown. Correct with that. So Small Phillies front on D is going to be a challenge for us. They're pretty legit. Hookadoo. Or Johnny L. Trump's fight the good fight. Hey, all right. Let's see. The Trim Reaper. Maturity isn't an age. It's a destination. Correct that. JK, a loss to Philly and the last loss to Rams. I'm hearing here. We'll find out. Wayne, remember when LaFleur said we don't celebrate North championships here? Question mark. Yeah, because you don't win them anymore with an exclamation point. Tori Abel, is anyone returning for us this week? We won't know probably until tomorrow, maybe Friday. Big game and chance to put some room between us and the Packers. The Bears, I am starting to wonder about. The Bears, they have a pretty favorable schedule. They've had some games where they've had some fortunate outcomes. You know, we all get it against the Giants last week. But, hey, you play the team in front of you and see what shakes out the end of the year. Johnny O, Hookadoo, Stephen Wood, born to be wild. There you go. The Trimmer can't wait until lay the smacketh down on Philly. Let's beat them down. Hookadoo, Johnny L's thumbs up. Pat Rock, the Eagles game comes down to controlling both lines. I like the way you're thinking. Well, and Chicago, question mark, you barely beat the teams on your 4th place schedule. Yes, you've improved, but clearly you are not that Lions level. We'll hope that holds true. Norm Reaper, I think we may be seeing the debut of the Egyptian magician soon. Let's see if that holds water. JK, I say Eagles will be closer game to win. Let's get that win. Pat, morning crew. Wayne, good morning, my friend. First place, exclamation point. Oh, yeah, love this show. We love you, too. Thank you, Dano. Hey, anytime. Let's see. Steve Rogers, good morning, all. Let's get to Sunday night. Yes, I think we're all chomping at the bit to see the Lions back on the field. Drake, I need more wake-up juice this morning. Go get yourself the delicious Mountain Dew. Hookadoo, Trim. That man is going to come out of the gate swinging. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to be fired up when he gets on the field. JK, Ahmed is a rotational piece, probably getting 25 to 30% of snaps in time for sure. What is Morton's role now? That hasn't yet been defined, France. Moonscar Blade, good morning, Duke Crew. We could have a roster of future Hall of Famers, but without a title on the resume, hard to get in. Yeah, very true, very true. Wayne, France, advisor. Ooh, could be an advisor. Kerry, hope he calls the plays when we play the Bears, broski, so we lay to rest who really had the team's instincts down to the pat. There you go. Bobo, the Eagles flies. The Eagle flies alone, question mark. I'll go with that. White Guz, JK. Morton's job is to shine shoes. Maybe accurate. Broski, Johnny Morton equals Tim Horton, and he's now the coffee guy. Dan Campbell likes 2 creams in his coffee. John, thank you. And maybe that is what he does. Mary Smith, good morning, Duke Crew. Happy Veterans Day to all that have served. Thank you, and God bless you. 100%. Veterans Day is here. Make sure you do something nice for somebody you know in that regard. Johnny L., don't worry about that, Moonscar. We got this one. We will get that done this year. I like the way you're thinking. Moonscar Blade, I was going to say that Morton is now the guy in charge of keeping the salt containers full at the team cafeteria, adding to his resume. Jennifer, good morning, all, and happy Veterans Day. I like the way you're thinking. Hookadoo. That game should be the bet of the century, broski. Ooh, we'll see if we go there again. Coach Rock, good morning. Duke Crew, Cynthia, good morning. Everybody, exclamation point, Moonscar Blade. As long as he doesn't get the salt and sugar mixed up, MCDC will be okay. How about that? Lemon Day, everybody. Okay, let's see. Rock, back and first where we belong. I concur with your assessment of the situation. All right, it's about that time. He has made his way from across the pond to us now. Our special guest of the day has arrived, Anthony from Lions Roar, UK. And a good afternoon to you, Anthony. How you doing?
Good morning to all you over there. I'm doing good, thank you. I've enjoyed a Victory Monday. We're back on top of the world again. Last week is all gone, and I don't mind that at all.
So when we look at what, let's start off with this. When you look at Dan Campbell, the differences in the offense when he's calling the plays versus John Morton, what's your assessment of it?
I think Dan knows the flow of the game. He knows his roster. You know, he's just got a natural feel for it, and that's what the best offensive coordinators do. They have a feel for the game. They find the weak spots of the opponent, and they just really go for it. And that seems the thing that Morton's not done so far. He's kind of wanted to play football his way, unapologetically his way, and sometimes it just doesn't happen in the league. Sometimes someone's got your number, and you've got to figure something different out. But Dan found the weaknesses of Washington early, specifically using Jameson Williams to stretch the field more. We faced the least stat boxes we have all year because our speed threat is in the game. He's got getting a lot of yards after the catch. He's, big downfield plays. It allows us to spread that defense out a bit, run the ball a little better, just opens it all up. They couldn't guard Jameson Williams all day, so he kept giving him the ball. That's what you do, and you keep punishing them again and again and again, and it just opened up the rest of the offense for us. And when Dan finds those little nicks in there, he really goes for it. I think that's what it is. It's just feel for the game. It's what Ben Johnson was so good at for the most part, having a feel for the game, bringing out the right plays in the right situation, and that's what Dan does best more than anything. So, might take Morton a little while to learn. Fine. I'd rather Dan do it in the meanwhile.
When you look at the Lions offensive line, there have been a lot of questions about it this year. Even in the start of the season with Green Bay and up until the Minnesota Vikings game. This last game, they seemed a little different. How good or how much different do you think they will be because of Dan Campbell calling plays or because Yode's in there?
It's, you play to your strengths of your team. Again, we got a lot of passes out quickly in this one. We didn't have to let them hold up too long in pass protection. And again, we opened up the game more because, again, we're not facing stat boxes on this offensive line and not having to block 8, 9 guys, with all these tandem in pressures and everything like that. It just makes things a little easier for them. But they executed really well as well, but the great thing was Dan put them in a position to succeed with the way he was calling the offense. Last week, Minnesota would just bring it so much pressure again and again and again and again. And it's really difficult when you've got 2 rookies in there, when you've got a makeshift center in there. It's very difficult when you're not giving them a chance to succeed in there. Dan was able to, as I say, just made it a little bit easier, put the defense on the back foot a bit, allowed the offensive line to get on top, as it were. And we know when they're allowed to get on top, they're one of the best in the business at it. But they're playing really well. Like Ratledge, no one talks about Ratledge anymore. Like everyone just thinks Ratledge has been in there for 5 years at this point, which it feels like he has. And Awashika, thankfully, is the one player on this team who's good depth on the offensive line. He played a really good game, but then, goes behind your tackles as well. They're so good. Like Penne got hurt again. He's out a couple of plays. He's back in. He's just an absolute Iron Man. But, again, it all comes back to Dan's play calling and getting the offense on top, which allows the offensive line to work a lot better. So, they did a tremendous job. And we know they can be good. And, you've got a lot of new parts in there. So it's going to take time to gel. As long as it's good for the playoffs, that's all that matters. And we've seen that they can be tip-top and they're going in the right direction.
When you look at the next game for us, the Philadelphia game, what do you think are some of our strengths or weaknesses against the Eagles?
I mean, in terms of the strengths, now our offense has been used to its full potential. That Eagles defense has not been as good this year. I mean, it was very good last night, but it's very young. Like, mentioned before the start of the season, 10 of their 11 starters were on the rookie parts of their deals. They got a lot of young players in there. They've entrusted a lot of it to youth, and it's been exploited in some parts. When you've got an offense as good as ours, as diverse as ours, you cause confusion, panic. There's not too many natural born leaders in there. You get them on the back foot. I think you can put a lot of pressure on that defense because you're sending them tons of different looks. They're confused. Like Washington's defense didn't have a clue what to do against us. They didn't know whether to come and try and stop the run. They didn't know whether to try and double up on JMO. They didn't, because they just didn't know what was coming. And that's arguably a better, more veteran defense than what you'll be facing with Philly. Now, Philly's is probably higher talent, but it's still not got that leadership level on there you would expect. So that's the weakness I see here is if Dan can call offensively a game like he did again, you could put a lot of pressure on them and force mistakes out of them, and you can put up quite a few points. So that would be the weak spot I would be aiming at, surely. And then, defensively, we're a good defense. I think this defense can hold up against just about anybody in the league. They've shown they're better with the dual threat quarterbacks now, specifically having Derek Barnes in there. He's great with it. But the other game, what they did is they started using Brian Branch blitzing now, which we've been calling for ages. 2 sacks for him in this one. Like, use these guys. Branch is quick, he's athletic, he can hunt down these quicker guys as well. I think we've now got the discipline in the middle of the line to stay good against the run, and we've got these hunters on the outside who can go and get these dual threat quarterbacks. So, I think we match up pretty well against them. Obviously, what they have is experience going to a Super Bowl. Sure. They have the experience in big game situations. That's where we come up short a little. But in terms of an outright matchup, I think we match up well against them. But it's going to be big. We need to see, because let's be honest, for all intents and purposes, Washington were awful. Washington gave up after a half of football and they stopped playing. So as good as we played, I'm still not. I need to see that against opposition that's going to fight back for a full game, because Washington just simply didn't do that. They were rank. They were worse than rank. But no, I like our chances. I say if we play like that again, all game, we will give Washington a good game and we could potentially beat them.
Not a Lions question, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. When you look at the Green Bay Packers, I have my opinions on Jordan Love. What are your opinions on Jordan Love?
I think he's mediocre. I think he is a quarterback who, if you put a great team around him, could take you to the Super Bowl through his mediocre style of play. I don't think he's got that next level elevation to take a team there by himself, and he doesn't have the IQ of, say, Jared Goff. Like Jared Goff, a stand and deliver pocket passer who's a general of the field, who's really good with the mental side of the game, which elevates him to another level. I don't think Jordan Love really has that. So I've always been of the opinion that he don't get me wrong, he is a serviceable NFL quarterback who can have his good days like they all can, but I don't think he's got that extra level to him that some people think he has, and he doesn't have like the IQ traits that Goff has to get him up to the next level without the dual threat rush ability. So, no, they're fraudulent.
When you look at the NFC North, we're in the back half of the season. You get that, I get that. Where do you see the NFC North being when we get to the playoffs?
I think the wheat will separate itself from the chaff, as they say. Like, the Bears are riding a terrible schedule right now. Like, they're playing a 4th place schedule. They get the luxury of playing the Giants and the Raiders and teams like that and stat padding on them. I think they'll eventually find a level, because I think they're obviously a better team than they were before. But they will play better teams than them and they will lose. And I think they will sort of even out as they go along. I think the Packers will even out as they go along as well. I mean, the big one is Thanksgiving. You win that, I think we'll gradually start to pull away from the rest of them. The Vikings have shown that they're just meh. They're hot and cold, but more cold than hot. So I think we're gradually going to pull ourselves away eventually, and then it'll probably be the Packers and Bears fighting after that, the Vikings after that. But it is competitive division, but I still do genuinely believe, despite the fact we're 1-2 against them, that on our day in a playoff situation against a team like the Eagles or something like that, we're the ones who've got the best chance of beating them because we've got the most talent on our team.
when you look at Lions, didn't make a move at the trade deadline. We have a lot of different debates why that is. As soon as the trade deadline passed, though, you find out, hey, Rodrigo's, coming back. We find out Pascal started his 21-day clock. Same with Miles Frazier. Now Med Hassanin is back on the practice squad. Out of all the guys coming back, who do you think has the potential to make the biggest impact for the Lions and why?
I don't know. I mean, I know we're relying on all these guys and that, but Frazier's a 6th-round pick who's not played football in forever. Hassanin is a 6th-round pick who's not played football in forever. Davenport's a sick note who can't stay healthy for more than 2 games. Pascal's been nothing more than inconsistent his entire career. These are not big people we're waiting coming back on. These are not reliable, productive people that we're having coming back here. Rodrigo's the one. I look forward to having Rodrigo back on this team. The linebackers have done really well. Like Anzo, Barnes, Campbell have been terrific. I think having someone like Rodrigo in to take a good snap count, to take a little bit of the pressure off them, able to rotate them a little bit more. And, he's in his final year with us. So, I want to see him ball out to end the year to get a new contract. So I don't want him to go anywhere. So Rodrigo's certainly the one out of all of them that I'm looking forward to the most. The rest, I'm just, I don't think they're going to contribute much this year to a playoff campaign. So we'll see. But yeah, Rodrigo's the one I want back more than anybody.
One last question for you. I was debating it before you came on. How good could this Lions team be? We've seen what it's been the last several years, nearly made the Super Bowl last year, number 1 seed, flamed out partially because of injuries. This year, they seem to be in the running for the number 1 seed, once again in the NFC overall. Going forward, 1, how good can this franchise be over the next decade? And 2, in your view, how many guys are potential Hall of Famers?
I think there's half a dozen potential Hall of Famers in this team, potentially, the way they're going. I mean, Gibbs is certainly on pace to be. Amon-Ra could be on pace to be. Penny will be the way he's going. Penny just needs a Super Bowl to his name, and, he may as well just waltz in there at this point. Hutch could be. Campbell could be. Branch certainly could be. Obviously careers happen and lots of ups and downs and that, but I think the potential for at least 6 of them genuinely to go into the Hall of Fame when all is said and done. In terms of how good the team can be, I mean, obviously the team would be a Super Bowl contender. It's that's their ceiling right now, that their window is now open for business, and every year you will expect them to get to the Super Bowl for the foreseeable future, whilst the cap allows it, whilst Goff's play allows it. I wouldn't say over the next decade. For me, over the next 2 to 3 years, certainly that needs to be the case. If you've not got one in a couple of years, then you've got to start having to think about what you're doing and potentially. I'm not one of these. I've said it a lot of times. I don't want to be the Bills. I don't want to be the Ravens. I don't want these teams who are just perennial chokers when they come up and play against the actual Super Bowl team that they play. Neither of them can beat the Chiefs. Right. If you can't do it in those high-pressure situations, then you're as good as a 0-win team. Because at the end of the day, there's one aim in the NFL, to win a Super Bowl. Doesn't matter whether you're winning no games or whether you get into the championship game every year and not making it to the Super Bowl, you're still failing. So I don't want to be doing this for the next decade. If it doesn't work in the next 2 or 3 years, tear it down, build it back up. You go again. You try and find a different formula that works. But certainly, the ceiling of this team is a Super Bowl. But they've got to start showing it now. Obviously, back in the playoffs, start winning games again, start winning the big games again. Show that you are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and you can do it when it matters. Because I just have a little niggling doubt in the back of my mind at the minute. Sure. Mentally, obviously, they struggled with Washington last year, been favorites. You've got to turn that mindset to be a Super Bowl winner and not just be this brazen underdog, which everyone forgets about. We've got to start acting like champions now, and just got that little bit to go, which just niggling in the back of my mind. But, I certainly think they can do it, and I hope they can. Hopefully it's this year.
I hope it is this year. All right, Anthony, I want to thank you as always for making a little time out of your busy schedule to come join us. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you and support your great content.
Yes, apologies for me being a little late this week, by the way, but yeah, we are. You can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We are a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come and check your Lions and news and views from a British perspective, please drop by and say hi. We do game reviews on Mondays. We preview generally on Thursdays. We're live during the game, so if you just want to drop by, stream and say hi, that's great. I talk college football on Wednesdays, so if you like college ball, come chat with me on Wednesdays. Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. As always, thank you, Dan. And thank you to the Dew crew. Enjoy another win week. Let's look forward to the Eagles. Let's go get another big dub. And yeah, 1 week closer to the Super Bowl. We love it.
Let's make it happen. All right. He is Anthony from Roar Lions UK. Go check him out, support him. And Anthony, as always, thank you for being a part of the show.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
We'll see you, my friend. All right, Johnny Gas Sports is letting you know. Good morning, Dan and Duke Crew with an exclamation point. Johnny, shoot me a text, man. Let me know when you can get on the show, man. It's been a hot second. The Duke Crew misses you. All right, Mr. Rage, what do you got? Hi from a UK Lions fan. Hey, got to give a lot of love there, and hi to you, too. On the True River, we all know it's Davenport's fault. Could be accurate, the Motown Mitch. Those numbers are very inflated of loves due to the trash teams they played. How do you tell they are pretenders struggling with bad teams all year? Yeah, in Love's defense, losing Kraft is your tight end, your safety blanket, however you want to term it or word it. That's a big loss for them, in my opinion. Watching I didn't watch the full game last night, but watching what I did, I think you could see that's going to impact the Packers' offense quite a bit this year. They'll figure it out, but it might take a little time. Matt Broski Bear, but he never wins big games. They should have won that game last night, but Love is not great. How about that? Thomas, MCDC, in my opinion, only must-stay OC play caller. We'll see if he does. Trim River, good morning, guys, man. JK, with those holiday greetings and happy meetings. How about that? Gun guy, you can tell Dan thought Ben taught everything he knows. That's why he dropped 50 on that guy. Might be accurate. Good morning, Henry, says Broski. Pat, Bears got a last place. We'll see where they finish this year. Thomas, beating Philly in Philly, question mark. Just being honest here, guys, not going to happen. Yeah, didn't you say we wouldn't be the Bucks too, though, Thomas? I mean, just trying to be real here. We will play well but lose, but we'll get our revenge in the playoffs. Fair enough. Till the Hun, I see them replacing Morton with someone younger like MCDC did with Ben Johnson. Remember, it took a while for Ben Johnson to learn how to run the offense under Dan. It probably did. Phil, good morning, Broski. Good morning, Phil. JD, Detroit Lions, 316. All right, gun guy taught. Joseph, the Eagles are very beatable. Come on, I'll go with that. Till the Hun. Thomas, any given Sunday, especially with division leaders. That's probably a very true statement, Tilla, 100%. GSS69, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew, and back at you. Until the Packers lost their starting center last night with a broken leg. I did not catch that. Man, that's a big loss. And if you guys watch the show for any length of time, as a coach, I don't like it. Hey, we get to face them because they lost these guys. I'd rather play someone at full strength. I get it's an inevitable thing in any sport. Somebody's going to get hurt, but I don't cheer for someone to get hurt. I want to beat you down in your own house when you're at full strength. That way you can't say, well, if we would have had this guy. It's just me, but it's unfortunate, especially in football. You know the injury is going to happen. Nobody's going to feel bad for you when they beat you because you had injuries. But, hey, thoughts to the Packers, and it will help the Lions. There's no way around it. Bo, the Eagles fly along with arch enemy. That song will be in my head Sunday night. Hey, let's go beat down the Eagles. Thomas, my hope MCDC takes over play calling period. I think he has, Thomas. He will spread the ball around something more and had zero clue how to do. Exclamation point. One thing still concerning, Tesla's lack of separation routes. It takes time to learn, man. I mean, he's no different than Megatron, Herman Moore, Robert Clark, Jeff Chadwick. If you want to go back, it does take time for most receivers to learn it. Lauren, happy Veterans Day, and thank you for all that served. 100%, my friends, 100% indeed. Broski, there's no denying the Bears haven't beaten a good team yet this season. I don't expect them to make the playoffs this season. They aren't there yet. We'll find out. Yeah, I don't know. But one thing I can say, obviously I want the Bears to lose any time to play the Lions. But Broski, for you guys have had a rough go for in recent years. Just glad for you to have some, reasons to cheer. Trim Reaper, what up, Ant-Man? There you go. Miles Bar, hi, Ant Roar Lions UK. Broski Bear, good morning. Phil, Carey, replace the last two Packers possessions and watch Love in the pocket. You'll see everything for yourself. He's not comfortable. Nah, some people don't handle pressure well. My opinion, Jordan Love, he seems to tend to be in that scenario. When there's pressure in the moment of the game, he doesn't always rise to it. In fact, I think more and more he's becoming trending where he goes down. I know I use this example probably way too much on the show. He's starting to reflect Randolph Keys. Most of you have no clue who that is. I had to scout him years and years ago. You would have thought he was Michael Jordan if the game was 15 points up or down. I mean, the guy would just terrorize everybody. Game got within 12 points, though. He couldn't shoot air balls fast enough or bounce the ball off his leg. All right, just a couple more, and then we'll be in overtime. Thomas, Attila, I totally get that, and you are correct, but beating Philly in the cold, another story. We'll see what happens. JK, I might go play bingo and drink with some veterans again. Hey, go enjoy it. Have a good time. Thomas, they are defending Super Bowl champs, and the reason is our defense is not as good as Green Bay. All right, Jay, good morning. This is my first time here. Welcome to the Duke Crew, Jay. Hopefully you have an outstanding morning. Egon, if the Giants can beat Eagles, we can beat the Eagles. Yeah, that's true. Any game, man. Any game. I mean, think about last week, Buffalo and Miami. How many had that picked out ahead of time? Joseph, the Lions offense is way better. Hello, I would agree with that. Henry Moore, what I seen last night is the weaknesses on both teams. Any OC could be gearing a game plan to extract those weaknesses. Agreed with that. Christian, great move giving J-Mo some in routes. No linebacker in the NFL can pick him up. Yeah, especially if you're going to play zone coverage. He should shred those. Pat, Jay, welcome to the crew. 100% with that. Hoogadoo. Ant-Man, row your boat was late today, but it crossed the pond today. Yes, you made it in just in time. How about that? Big Belly Lou. Dan Campbell is spreading the ball around, and that's the difference between him and Johnny Morton. And I think the offense responds better to Dan Campbell. You could be fully accurate there, Lou. Dre Day, does not one think MCDC isn't going to mentor Morton for a few weeks so he can see how MCDC sees the game, and Dan did for Benedict? I think he will. It's just whether or not he's going to hand it back over. I think it's tough to hand the reins back over. Maybe next year. I just don't see it happening this year. Been wrong before, though, of course. Stephen, greetings and salutations to Dan and the Duke Crew, saluting to all our veterans, and thank you for your service with an exclamation point. Big Belly Lou, if they play like they did Sunday, next Sunday's Eagles are going down. I like the way you're thinking. Thomas Ahmed Hassanin is to be realistic, exclamation point, a rookie who's been out 90% of the year. So far, I'm not expecting much at all this year for him. Whatever we get from it is a bonus. Yeah, well said, well said. Mary, welcome. Jay Jacobs to Lions Talk Live, 100%. Be a part of the Duke Crew. Hookadoo. WDL in Jacobs. Yeah, welcome in. How about that? I think that's what it's going with. Bo, welcome aboard. There you go. Thomas Morton being in the league for this long as he is will never again fully take over play calling duties for the why? Question mark. He is stuck in the ways and he will always go back to what he knows. Could be accurate on that, 100%. And JK, Coach Dan Campbell called plays like if Ragnow and Zettler were playing, but they weren't. Incredible. Yeah, they did a great job. All right, let me get there. Just a couple more who haven't been on here as much, then we got to get out of here, guys. Joseph, yeah, that Green Bay defense that shut down the Browns. So there you go. Gary, I just want Brian to call plays. Brian, call plays. Let Morton be OC. All right, we'll see who Brian is. I'm trying to think who Brian is. Dolo, Lord, Glasgow versus Carter. Yeah, well, we'll see how they game plan. Dr. Detroit, let's see how good we really are. Next 3 games tells the story. Very well said, my friend. Victor, still trying to figure out if it was Campbell's play calling or the Washington defense that was 28th in scoring and 30th in total plays, yards allowed per game. I don't know. I know some people made some jokes yesterday saying some of the Washington players were trying to get thrown out of the game and suspended so they didn't have to go to Madrid. Man, I don't know. Wouldn't you want a free trip to Europe and Madrid, Spain? I don't know, but maybe there's some truth to that. Free for all. Gibbs' birthday is same as mine. Happy pre-birthday. JK, Skins were a not good team. I concur. Kerry, Colin held his own in Glasgow spot. Yeah, I thought him and Skip did well. Joseph, tell us more about the Green Bay Packers defense shutting down the Panthers. That's a very good point. Dr. Detroit, Slappy Central here today. Hey, sometimes you just got to feel good, right? Bo, I honestly hate to say how sorry reality is. It happens, man. Dolo, Jalen Phillips looked good last night. Also, Draymond also looked good in Baltimore. Brad missed the opportunities. Maybe indeed. But if we could have got Jalen Phillips, I would have been okay with it. But, obviously we don't have him. So, moving forward. Moonscar, welcome, Mr. Rage and Jacob. Yes, Jay Jacobs, excuse me. Trim Reaper, respect to the grandmas. Hope my mama Adamas is healing up fast. she's back home living on her own. The only thing is we've had to tell her is, hey, try not to drive with a busted shoulder. We'll see what if she listens to those words. Lion Dog Packers have pretty good bookends on D. So glad MCDC is calling plays. Exclamation point. Looking forward to Packers game at Ford Field. Hoping for a big dub. I think we all are on that one. All right, just 2 more and then I got to go, guys. I got to get you guys out of here and then I got to get to work. Thomas Green Bay did not look good last night. I think we should be able to feed him no problem. Good morning, Dan. Good morning to you. Oh, somebody hasn't been on. Burns. It's not just your popcorn is nasty. Some people love it, man. It just, for me, just something about the texture just doesn't work for me. Maybe if I put some hot sauce on it. Chuck, shake my head. Yeah, I know some people like popcorn. Thomas, Detroit Lions looks so much better with Dan Campbell calling the plays. Woo! Let's hope that continues. Southwest, what the heck is he talking about? Tear it down. Are you crazy? It'll be another 100 years. Remember, injuries beat us. Only a crackhead will we lose that game healthy. Yeah, I'll go with all the above. Bo, context is important when listening. Yeah, Hookadoo, I feel for you. JK, my parents are gone and all my grandparents. Yeah, my mom's, the only one left out of all my, I guess you could say, superiors. So my dad passed away like 20 years ago, veteran, by the way, of the Korean War. My grandparents both served in, World War I. Had a great-grandparent that served in the Civil War, so a lot of people have served. My oldest sister was a vet for 20-plus years. I want to say 25 years. JK, I hear you, Trim. Broski, Johnny, sports is cool. I agree with that. Miles Meyer, Roar Lions UK. Thank you, Anthony. Southwest, Green Bay is not good. Southwest is letting you know. JK, Hookadoo, thank you. Thomas, no, I said beware of the Bucks. All right, we'll go buck hunting. How about that? JDC, happy trails, go Lions victory. Moonscar Blade, I think Dan was thinking of Timmy, not Thomas. Yeah, sorry about that. The Trim Member, Timmy, we haven't seen him in a while. Brian, before each draft, guys should be hit a few times to see if they can stay healthy. Darren Arnold, I don't think, has a very high pain tolerance. Always hurt like Davenport. Grinder, Khalif Raymond seems to benefit from Dan's play calling. I would say that is accurate. Bo, cry wolf all the time, and you get to some treatment. Same treatment. All right? Any more? Have a glorious day to my brothers and sisters in arms and the rest of my friends. To all, for sure. DM5. I wasn't impressed with Philly or Green Bay, but the NFC is going to be hard road with Seattle. Yeah, I agree. Seattle, Rams, Philly, Green Bay. We have moved close to the end of the season. We'll see what we're made of. Well said, my friend. No, the Packers dirty dove at Lane Johnson's leg last night. Yeah, that I did hear about. So, we'll see what happens if there's any kind of penalties. Thomas, you can't compare Tesla to all those wide receivers. You're coming out with none of them had less than 5 catches after 9 games. I can compare anybody to anybody. My opinion, Tesla, he is going to be pretty good, but like those other guys I mentioned, it does take time. Let's see. Moonscar, J-Mo just is now understanding separation in routes that is not just go routes. Correct with that. Yeah, it does take time to learn that foot mechanic, the elbow usage, how to shift your weight. That's a big part of it. How to lean in and shift weight, but we can go on forever with that. The Philadelphia coach tried to be Dan Campbell going for it on 4th down. Actually, both head coaches. Yeah, I think Dan Campbell has changed the game, at least at the NFL level. Maybe you could say the collegiate level. Trim Raper, have a great day, coach and crew. Exclamation point. Woo! Back at you. Moonscar, have a great day all. Good day, Bo. And Burns. And the wood of my little niece. Happy Veterinarian's Day. All right? Words. All right? Mary, have a great day. Blessed day. Once again, thanks for the veterans all. See you in the morning. We'll see you then. Sammy, greetings from Cal. Let's go Lions. Have a great day. You're getting up early, my friend. Trey Day, Steelers game. Johnny, Mo will call plays again. Maybe. Free for all until the Hun. I think Dan Campbell has set a trend for going for it on 4th down. I'm seeing it happen a lot lately. Yeah, the last few years, I think he's definitely affected the game of football. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Sorry I couldn't get you all in. I tried to get as many as I could. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for someone you don't know. Be a good human being. If there is breaking news, I'll get it over to you as fast as possible. But, hey, we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. Which one?
Bye.